Hi, my name is Sunitha Kumar Emmart. I founded Galerista in 2004. The gallery started in 2003 with two artists. In terms of the program, we have 14 artists. It's quite eclectic in terms of the practice of all of them. I don't think there's something that kind of unifies it in terms of interests of the artist, but I think basically the only thing in common is that I'm their gallerist. My first advice would be don't collect artists because they're Indian. Just collect them because they're good artists and you feel a connection with the work. And but for practical reasons, if you're going to a particular region to do some kind of research, I guess I would just say go to as many places as you can and do a lot of research and try and get people to organize studio visits. I would like there to be discourse to understand that where we come from is not an anti-Western position, but it's parallel. I mean, simple things like in terms of like the idea of like linearity of time, which is a very Western thing, is completely not something that we have in an Eastern tradition. It's a very non-linear idea of time. We could be in past, present, future at the same time in the way we use language or in our music. And I think those ideas are really important to even explain our positions in terms of art practice. There was this really beautiful book that is called The Music Room, that's written by Meera Devi Dayal, where she's talking about Western and Indian classical music, and where she says in Western classical music it's about striking the right note at the right time, while in Indian classical music it's about the silences between the notes. And that for me is like a great analogy of explaining the two positions. And there isn't a lot of great publications. We don't even have a very active art magazine scene, or in terms of critical writing, we don't have a very important something built up in the country. So, we're primarily an oral tradition, so there's not a lot that's even been documented in terms of even antiquities or anything earlier. So it's really hard to find good books. Sometimes they're good essays you can find in random catalogs, but it would be hard to say that this is the book one could begin with. I would like to see a really good show that represents certain practices from India that is not put under the umbrella of Indian art. Even if it had 4 Indian artists, I would like it positioned differently, and that's something I'm still waiting to see. And because that could be a good place for dialogue when that show leaves the country, and also when a lot of people come to do research in India, whether it's a writer, curator, collector, there's usually a pattern that you can predict that's in the way that the West understands India to be, and it has to tick all those boxes of their understanding to be valid. In India, there are many pockets of the market. Like there is a very strong market for the moderns, but that's not something that we work with. In terms of the contemporary market, I would say that it's still developing, and it's also that in India we've had traditionally collectors who are families that have bought antiquities or textile, but in terms of contemporary art, it's taken some time to translate into them also being patrons of that. And I think with things like the Kiranara Museum of Art, which is a private museum, that's an extremely important initiative, and it's maybe an institution that we've just begun building, and hopefully there should be like more in the future, that because right now there is private collecting, but we don't really have institutions that support contemporary art other than KNMA. So that's something that we lack and we need to figure out. But our gallery has really always had support from Europe and America in a very big way, and the art that we show in India is sometimes things that people don't get. But it's a work in progress, and we're committed to sort of having a dialogue with our own cities that we're in Delhi and Bangalore, and hopefully that will change as well. A problem with fairs is that, you know, you're compartmentalized by the region that you come from. And I feel like it sort of goes against all of us to sort of say Bangalore, Delhi, or because there's also that preconceived idea the minute somebody is looking at the work, the minute they look at where you're coming from. Sometimes it can be a clue, but sometimes it can work against you. And you know, so I think that it is an issue, and you just hope that you make the contact at the fair and then hopefully develop a more engaging conversation with a collector or a patron over a period of time to explain your position in a better way, and that you're not just looked at as representing that region, but maybe then representing particular artistic practices that have these concerns. I actually work on something called being an expert, where we look at projects from different places, and we sit together as a bunch of people and sort of discuss it, and then sort of come to a democratic decision on what would be the best thing for the fair to have as a platform and a showcase for the coming edition. They're in the year that people meet and look at things together. It's a process of reading applications very carefully, looking at images and having a lot of discussions and voting. Because I work on the sections for the younger galleries and the curated section, I think the thing is just to put your best foot forward. It is the most important fair in the world, and at least in terms of visibility, quality, the kind of people who come there as patrons, also the number of curators who come. So I think it is to just really save the best thing you have in your program and to sort of give that a really good shot. Write lucidly, have great images, do a really good booth sketch, because it always helps people visualize things better then, and yeah, it really, I would say it's a fair that deserves the best quality from any gallerist, and they have to work very hard at getting that.